Good morning, Moon. You are at UK. Just want to say thank you for the comment in the last video. I appreciate that, and nice to meet Michael. I'll probably try and find out a bit more about him soon. Um, and if anyone wants to email me, it's trinityforman@gmail.com. I thought I'd do this as a live quickly. It's just going to be short and sweet. But that last video took almost 30 hours to upload, and it was 20 minutes long. Came to this lovely place here for a few days. What a great view, don't you think? Into this valley. This is how we should all be able to live, like this amount of space between our neighbors. It's fantastic. There was a purpose to this video. I just wanted, why I called it stage 3 or level 3 incoming. Just, snippets of news make their way to you, and at the moment it feels to me very much like the news is saying that, despite a year or more of strange behaviors by corporations and followers of people, a year of strangeness, we still seem to have sudden, sporadic, and mysteriously unknown origin outbreaks in places, which means that none of the stuff that they've done has worked. So if you were a reasonable government official, you would have to conclude that you needed to go further, and as Boris often says, we really don't want to do this. We're so trying our very best, but the last thing we want to do is to damage the economy and the psychology and the whole of the human story. But these are trying times, and people are falling prey to terrible illness. Everybody must know somebody by now. I mean, if you've got 300 friends and one or two of them in that network have fallen prey to this illness by now, you must surely realize that crushing the economy, killing the spirits of our young children, well, it's really worth it. But unfortunately, we haven't gone far enough. With heavy heart, we have decided we're going to have to go further. But we know you're with us. We know that you people understand the severity of the situation. You must have seen it on your television night after night. That's what we've been paying the BBC to do. Night after night of propaganda of all the horror stories. People who have fallen ill in this last year, people do fall ill, and some have fallen ill in rather mysterious ways. So, I'm not looking to be disrespectful of anyone who's had illness of any sort. But surely you're not buying the theatre coming in from the hand-waving politicians who are graspingly seeking to protect you, which is all that government is there for, isn't it? I mean, don't say that they create the enemy that they have to protect you from. It is just the nature of humanity that we create enemies for ourselves. Then, when we've finished creating enough misery and support and help in your life, we'll get rid of the guys who did that, and then you'll forget. And you'll be cheerful that a new Matt Hancock can be delivered to the people and some young lady. Well, I think that might also be theatre. But, I'm not wanting to be a conspiracy theorist. I mean, this country, in South Africa, nobody is a conspiracy theorist, but everyone knows that the government has stolen billions of rand from the people. It's not a conspiracy. No, it's just, and we'll root them out. And then we'll get rid of the Mac Hancocks and we'll start again with a new. I don't know, let's not use German names, that might be a little bit offensive. Anyway, I'm just wanting to put people on, make people aware that, that I think the screws must surely be about to be tightened yet further, because unfortunately, all the levels and the distancing and the covering of the breathing, all of that seems to have no effect. Even the jabination that everybody so happily seems to be wanting to do, because they're not fearful. They're just going, protecting everybody else. It's not their fear, it's just doing the right thing for the community. It's not communist community. It's right that everybody should take drugs given by the government to protect their neighbor. Not my fear, no. But fear not. This is, I think, very hard for most people in so many different ways, whatever their level of perception is on the drama being played out. I think it may last a few years. I think it's going to get tighter. And people are going to get angrier. See, the London protests are massive now. Much respect and kudos to those people. I'm showing you my bald side. This hair loss thing has continued, I think, for a while yet. No stress here. But I think we've all been, whatever journey we're on, we've all been put under certain duress, or we're just being, what's the word, massaged into such acquiescence that it's almost like, well, it's not your life anymore, as much as you like to think it is. It's you are simply a cog in this machine that has become rapacious. And the fear in people here is so complete that I don't meet anyone that's actually I met a guy yesterday who's like, no, I don't buy into it. But in the main, the majority are just okay. As I said in the other thing, Stockholm syndrome. It's all right. When's the next beating, and how long will it take to get over it? Not, hey man, we should be doing something different. Humanity should be finding a different way. Some people say that it's this painful journey that we must go on in order to find our truth, come run through the cycle. So I'm not looking to bash the government, because, just like the policemen on the Durban beachfront, they're just doing kind of their job, and whatever their feelings are on any of it, you're not really allowed too much. Having worked in government myself, I know you're not really allowed too much latitude in terms of how you want to conduct things. It is, orders are passed down from on high, and you follow them if your job means anything to you. And perhaps career prospects if you're young and you're trying to get ahead. I even saw a sort of paid security service. They have the paid security services that walk around on the beach in addition to the regular police. And these guys are carrying truncheons and radios and high-vis clothing. And, I'm talking to one of these homeless guys, and he comes along truncheon, like pointed out, like going to stab the guy in the ribs. I'm like, hey, wait, were you just talking to this guy, Oh, no, he shouldn't be here. He's causing problems for people and so on. Yeah. This is an African man, a Zulu African man who, in his culture would not have done something like that. I don't think of it like that. But people are people, and it's not about color or culture so much as the soup in which you are having to swim. So that's all. I guess I was feeling a bit buoyed up from having gone down to the beach a couple of days ago and had all these guys, like a bunch of guys, half a dozen, individually come up to me and say, I just want to say thanks for what you did last week and stuff, you know. And it motivated this other guy to actually come down the beach and also do some stuff like that, you know. And perhaps in other places, others will be motivated by that little action. So that felt good. But, the situation is difficult. And of course, nothing I say or can afford to do for the mass of them, maybe, you can't really change that situation for them, not anytime soon. Not why our reality is being painted for us and we are believers in the status quo. The disempowered, we take orders from authority of man because they need to think for us. We can't. And it's never the individual. Oh, it's not me. I know, I'm fine about it, everything. But out there are problems. And, the truth is that like the puppies in the cage analogy, you create the hunger amongst the puppies, then you set them free from their township, which is what a lot of people, those puppies grew up in around here. You set them free from their township and they're going to go out into the neighborhood and cause problems. So you are going to pay for private security to protect you from that. It's a kind of self-perpetuating cycle. Anyway, as I don't want to talk too long. I just wanted to do this live because, as I said, the last video that 20-minute video took more than a day. And the place we stayed at offers Wi-Fi. That's another story. Anyway, I'll quickly say hello. Ricardo, you never miss. Hey, Mark and Melvin, I've been meaning to contact you, bro. Because I'm here in South Africa and we did speak to those South Africans before. And that was like an avenue I felt like I hadn't taken. Here in South Africa, I have such an interesting rapport with people. I find it somewhat easier to connect to people here than in Europe, certainly, but in England, even, when I'm talking in the street to folk, it's just, and I mean, I'm generalizing because I know there's there's plenty who only, if you saw my live stream the other day, a guy from the beachfront, a guy gave me the bird for suggesting that he didn't live on a spinning globe. And actually that chalk, I was told, is still there. There's been no rain in Durban, and I, placed it where it wouldn't be walked on so easily. And the cleaning people here, or someone, like that one I showed outside the police station, it's still there. It's still there. And I found some more chalk, big chalk, yesterday in the shop. So hopefully you'll get some chalk. Or rather, the city will get some chalk. But I think, people are walking past that almost like in hypnosis. So, you've seen those hypnotists do that thing on stage where they can get people to really believe they're looking at something different than what they're seeing. And I think that might be true in the world, is that, there is a hypnosis that goes on. Is it through the flicker rate of the TV? Is it through the repetition of phraseology, imagery, and in They Live, you see how it's suggested that, even the banner boards and so on, we see one thing, but they're actually hiding a message behind them to be obedient, to be a consumer, etc., etc. So, anyway, I'm just saying, like, I really love being here. Miss my children very much, and I miss my UK network a lot, I have to say. Andrea, I like, could we bounce between the two places, or is the I think of the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he goes to Mars. Imagine if you could. He goes to Mars, but to go, it's Total Recall. But to go through the gates, there's a huge amount of security. It's a huge amount of issue to go through from one place to another, and perhaps our Earth is becoming like that, where these camps are going to be as remote almost as these fabled rocks that float in the sky. Um, so yeah, we do worry ourselves, concern ourselves a little bit about that, and obviously, going back to the UK at the moment is like a 10 days inside a locked room with guards, etc. It's all beyond bizarre. Nice to see you, Mark. I hope you're well. And I heard, I don't know, is Australia about to go? This is what actually made me say this today, is because Andrea said, Aussie's going back down into, or Aussie's got like an outbreak or something, or they're super locked down. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me what the media are lying about there. I'm freezing cold, so sorry I'm shaking. Hey, Zoom. Hey, slaves. How are you? Have you been out? Have you been out, Dave? Have you done any activism? Do people, but I tell you, this is, I mean, there are people who are willing to hear. The thing is, you have a conversation with someone, and half an hour later, they sort of, as you've pushed away the hypnosis briefly, and they can see out. Then, of course, the rest of the world and the tide of everything sort of falls back over, and I go back to going along to. And I think a lot of people are doing it just out of I mean this. They're doing it out of like, well, everyone else is doing it, so I better do it, And I kind of feel like that a little bit, sometimes I feel a little bit kind of, I'm walking around the shop with it under my chin, and but, more people were like, hey, listen, I think this, I don't think we're actually, this is not making any sense, and I think I'm affecting my health. If people were a little more brave about that, then there'd be less of this compliance going on. Anyway. Hi, Brenda. How are you? And thank you for your kind offer. How's that Bundy group going, Zoom? Yeah. Got kicked out of it. They didn't like saying cops, my friend. Dave, you know what? I think that this is an interesting. We are at an interesting impasse, Dave, and I think that Andrea was talking. Andrea was talking to Is that me? My name has been called. Andrea was talking to a policeman on the beachfront too, in a van. It pulled up. I just walked off with Alexander to find something, and actually the policeman said to Andrea, said, "Oh, where's your child?" So they certainly, Alexander is recognizable. He sticks out, and the African people love his hair. And so that's interesting. But this young lad we were talking to, Yusuf. I've got a video of him. I'll load it up at some point when I got better bandwidth. But this young guy Yusuf, and he knew one of the cops, and it was Andrew said, this guy Yusuf, he wants to be a policeman. And the policeman said, I don't know why, because it's like this is a difficult job, man, and there are policemen who will crack you over the head, no thoughts about it. And there are policemen who will know that inside themselves that they went into this job to kind of help old ladies across the street, and maybe prevent someone getting mugged or whatever, legitimate kind of social kind of stuff, But a lot of stuff that the coppers are involved in now is mostly is and the extension of they are the dogs of this war. And I'm not calling them dogs. I believe that the royals and so on, that's what they call the police, is that those are their dogs. And of course, if you are, the king and the queen of the land, and you need tax collectors and you need people to go out and enforce your edicts, then they are your dogs, essentially. They're doing your bidding, and they are your servants directly. They swear an oath to serve the queen or something, all of them in every country. It's all the same. And then, of course, once you're in the club, having been in the army, once you're in the club, everyone's kind of going along with it. There's 30 of you, and even if you're feeling a little unsure, you don't know who else is feeling unsure, and you're all kind of just in there doing the war. And this is what these guys have been propagandized into. Do you think that movies like Judge Dredd and RoboCop and so on were just made for your entertainment? Uh-uh. They were predictive programming, get us to think about that possibility so that when they start to march it out, we will essentially help them create it. But also, that the policemen themselves, watch those movies and go, yeah, that's who I would like to be. Or when I think about policing, that's what I imagine, the clean police would look like. We can dispense justice and, make sure there's no litter and move the vagrants on and all that sort of stuff. I remember getting pulled once, and there was an older cop and a younger cop, and the younger cop was like, I felt after the counter, it was like, oh, that guy was chomping at the bit to kind of have a go at me, to kind of take me down on some charge, whereas the other guy was, more lenient, look, don't do that again, kind of thing. So I think what I'm trying to say to you, Dave, is that actually I feel like the best way to some of them might be psychotic or through this, we are only ever going to be at war with ourselves. And something that I think about a lot recently is how much of the war that I've brought back into my own heart, because I've been, fighting with anger, and having to kind of navigate through all the bloody, constraints of travel and, trying to, you go to shops and so, having to try and navigate that. There's a few places that I can go to where I can kind of nip in the back kind of thing, and I don't have to bother with the mask. Because again, once you're at a table or whatever, or near your table, oh, you're going to have the mask on. It's a COVID-free zone, don't you know? So I'm saying, I think I'm, in here, I find with some of the policemen I've had encounters with here, it's like if you approach them well, they love you. I haven't had one tell me to cover up my face. The only people that have done that have been private security in shopping malls and at the doors to pretty much every shop. Went to Vodacom yesterday to get some data, and they insisted on, to buy some data, which is going to be like a plastic transaction. I'm going to tell you this number. You got to put more sanitizer on your hand. They would refuse to serve us. Andrea took one for the team, and the guy kindly just put a little spot on her hand which she could wipe off. But they're being watched as well. Oh, if I don't do this, my job's at risk, And they're about to take us into deeper levels because they can't control Delta. Echo must be on its way. And mysteriously it just appears, doesn't it? It just like, oh, now it appeared in this place, and although you can't find anyone who can say, oh, that's what it was. Look, it was different to that one because it manifested like this. I mean, we know that they haven't been able to isolate this. From as far as the research I've done, they haven't been able to isolate any of this. It's all hypothesis and theorem, germ theorem, more theology for the believing masses. And I don't mean that unkindly. I think that I know that I've been there. I may still be believing things that I needn't or shouldn't, but I believe that more control is coming. I think that it's a few years in the making. And what of humanity comes out of the other end of that is anyone's guess. Always seeking for a purpose. How can I help? What can I do that is going to make a difference in this world? And this is a part of that, obviously, talking. And actually also getting out in the street like you see. But I sometimes think, what am I going to achieve? I'm going to help a few guys with a bit of food. Maybe, I know it helps to have a sense of who and what you are, but I think until we're doing something different as a humanity, this is going to be like, tiny little outposts of the few trying to navigate, the faceless masses. And they are literally becoming faceless. We are literally becoming faceless. And here in South Africa, they insist on 5-year-old over fives to do all of that too. And yesterday I saw this boy, man. It was like the Captain America thing here on his face. I've seen others, happily promoting products and so on. But here, Captain America, big badge and glasses on and so on. And it's like, yeah, we're losing it. We're losing our way. It's devastating to see, but we keep going on, hey? Thanks for that, Brenda, and thanks for your support. I'll keep it short. I think I've gone on long enough. I've had some thumbs up. Thank you for that. 12 new cases in Sydney, 2-week full lockdown. Good Lord. Good Lord. And Sydney must be 4 million people. Is it 3 million, something like that? Yeah. How important the shape of the earth, or that the infrastructure, the systems here have been able to engineer such massive deception. It's so important to know that, because it's underscores the lengths to which we have been programmed to believe something, or to see something, or create something that is so far from what I think the Creator, the Most High, intended.